Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to Machete Comics. I am Chris Machete Cochran, your favorite comic book artist slash cult leader, and I have a very special guest today. I've been a fan of this dude and his platforms on TikTok and Instagram, all the platforms, really. Really rad dude. Beside me, I have Joel from Joel's Comic Corner. Joel, how are you doing, buddy?
Good, thanks. How are you, Chris? Thank you for having me here.
Excellent. I'm always doing well. As you can see behind me, I got lots of toys. So
I
if
see that. I'm a huge toy collector too.
I'm catching that behind you. So whenever we get bummed out, we just need to sit in a room with toys, right, my friend?
Yeah, I love sitting in my comic corner here with my comics, reading comics, and with all my toys. I love collecting like Batman, Spider-Man, you name it, everything in between.
Yeah. Tell us about how you started collecting comic books.
Well, I was collecting comic books way back when in the late 80s. My very first comic book was Uncanny X-Men 144.
Ooh, that's a
I
good one.
because I started collecting comics when I was going into high school, which was 89. And I just continued through the years. And now that I'm in adulthood, I've just been adding on to my original collection. And I've just been collecting Spider Man, Uncanny X Men. I'm a huge Batman fan. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. So I collect all of those guys. And over the years, my tastes have kind of changed a little. I'm a huge Archie collector, as everybody knows. I've been posting a lot of Archie comics for my collection. Has gotten quite big over the years, and over the last couple of years, I've really got into grading comics now too, because I love having graded comics. They're such so nice in cases, I think. And I know there's been opinions about grading versus raw, but I like both. I like graded and non-graded comics. To me,
Sure.
they're just good to have, I think, especially with like foil covers, special covers, key appearances. Even like there's so much good artwork out there, and I really enjoy having great artwork on my wall. As you can see, I got a
Yeah.
nice
Do
big.
you have a favorite comic, like a couple favorite slabbed comics?
Oh yes, one of my favorite slab comics is
Hmm.
Amazing Spider-Man 365, the hologram comic. That was one of my first comics I slabbed when I
Hmm.
started slabbing comics, and then eventually I did all for the Spider-Man hologram covers.
Nice.
Those were one of my first batch of graded comics I did a couple years ago. So I was really happy they turned out really well. I didn't press or clean them at the time because I didn't know much about it when I first got into grading. But now that I'm got into grading, I do press and clean certain ones, especially older ones that I have,
Yeah.
because they're not always going to be in perfect condition, because there's always nicks and ticks. Sometimes writing on the comic, which I don't know why people did that back in the 70s and 80s. It's
They did that
really
to albums and records as well.
records,
They
and
afraid somebody's going to steal them.
yeah, it's really a shame they put their names on it.
Mm.
I mean, I know back then they didn't think of value or anything like that, but
That's a
it,
good sign that you didn't trust your friends.
that exactly right. I don't like anybody really touching my collection. I try and be very careful. I always hold my comic right on the top here, because
Hmm.
I'm not damaging it or anything. And
Comic
yes,
book etiquette.
and this is an I do have a raw copy of this one as well.
Ah,
So especially if I
nice.
have two copies of the same comic, that's when I'll get one
So
graded.
you send your books out to get graded?
I do the comic, even though I don't have a comic book shop in my town. There's one an hour away that I do send in
Okay.
with them, and they do one every month or so. So I just send in the paperwork with them. They fill up a box like of 25 at a time, and then it goes out. And yeah, I just do it with
That's
the
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So because I can't get to my comic book shop all the time, so which
Hmm.
is why I'm always behind on my new comics as well. So for reviewing and reading, I'm always a little bit behind everybody else, because I can't always make it to my LCS shop during the week like a lot of people
Well, you know,
can.
us dedicated comic fans have such a big stack that it take your time, Joel. You will. We're not there yet anyway. Sometimes, right? Like it takes. I'm bad for like missing a few weeks, and then I'll go and I'll have a stack, and then I won't get a chance to read those, and I'll go back a couple weeks later, and then oh no! But then you get one day where you can kind of catch up on your reading. So here's a question: do you actually read your comic books?
I actually do. I do open them up. I read them. I actually read it. Think about what's going on. I kind of think of it like a movie. Is it going to be good for a movie? Is it going to be good for a TV show? What's the how fast paced is it? Um, then I just look at to me if the artwork's good, then I know the story's going to be good. But if the artwork's not going to be that good, then I know kind of the issue's not going to be the rest of it.
What artist pulls you towards comics? When I was younger, it was John Byrne and then Todd McFarlane that really, really made me approve. Do you have some artists who just draw you to the covers?
Definitely Tom McFarlane. I liked his run in Amazing Spider-Man starting in the late 200s, 296, somewhere in there. And then moving on to Spawn. I'm a really huge Spawn fan. I do have Spawn #1 graded, but it got a green label because it was missing the poster, which I did not realize when I sent it in. So they gave me a green label because the poster was missing. But still, I'm a huge Spawn fan. I collect Gunslinger Spawn. I really enjoy the two variations of Spawn and doing the different missions and fighting.
Yeah, it's wild. That's a great comic book.
And Chris Claremont's another one. I really like his run. And John Bry from Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four 252. That was a really good issue. And all through the middle of the 200s there, I'm such a huge Fantastic Four fan. I remember reading them in high school and just thinking, wow, the stories of the family and just going on all these adventures. Like Fantastic Four was just really, really a great series for me, especially the volume 1 that's really kicked off my love for comics and reading Spider-Man. Normal guy becomes bitten by a spider, and then all this stuff happens to him, and then it's just
he has to fight adults. Being a kid, right? That was the thing that got me about Spider-Man, is that a lot of people don't wrap their head around the fact, okay, you got a kid that's in high school and he's fighting adults. How scary is that, right? Like, oh my gosh.
And they don't know it at the time that he's a teenager because nobody really knew his identity way back when. Unlike nowadays, everybody seems to know who he is, which what's the point of an identity if everybody knows?
I know, buddy. I know that was, and the funny thing is because I do guest speaking about comic books, and Spider-Man was created in what was it, 62 or 63?
Somewhere in there, 63, I believe.
Yeah, and you show that spider logo to anybody around the world, and that's Spider-Man. They know, right? They know, great power, great responsibility.
He's a recognized character.
Yeah, but when's the last time they've created anybody even close to Spider-Man? Maybe Deadpool or Venom, I guess. You know what I mean? But still, Spider-Man's are iconic heroes, right? Joel,
they are. Yes,
they're untouchable. It seems.
Yeah, but when everybody gets to know your secret, is it really a secret anymore? Like, I'm sure because they kind of exposed him to the world now, so they all seem to know his secret in this current run of volume 6, I believe which I am collecting, by the way. I the last few issues I really have enjoyed, where he's fighting the Vulture, Dr. Octopus. It's almost like he's going back to his roots.
Is that John Romita Jr. doing those ones?
I believe it is his
old school style.
Yeah, and his style his artwork has been spot on too, and I really enjoyed. And I've been getting some of the variant covers, and the variant covers have been really good for these issues. I can't say enough about the last few issues of the Spider-Man run. I've done a few reviews on my own of some of these issues, and I've really had nothing bad to say about them because I've really just enjoyed the action. I've enjoyed the motion of the flow of it, and I've just enjoyed the whole aspect of what they're doing to Spider-Man right now.
Right. So here's a question for you, my friend. Now, I always ask this one to anyone who is above the bar in comic book knowledge. Is there an underrated character out there that Marvel is missing the bolt? They need to get this character into a movie, and it'd be one that maybe nobody would think of. Like David Day said, Prince Valiant. It was like, holy cow, that's way back. Did you have a character that you think
Well,
Marvel's missing the boat on?
maybe not underrated, but maybe like Deathlock.
Mm.
He hasn't
Mm.
been talked about much.
No, that's very
Uh,
underrated for sure. That's a good one. I never even thought of that. What a great name too. Yeah.
Sleepwalker, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe another. I mean, they're not. Because I have some of them these runs in my collection just from
Mm.
over the years of buying bulk lots, and they are really good reads. Like Deathlock's a half machine, half man. I mean,
Mm.
not really Terminator, but a variation maybe. But he goes off on his own adventures and does all these crazy things too. And to me, I read the first few issues and I really enjoyed it. Like Deathlock would be an underrated character. Maybe the New Mutants, they haven't really been
Mm.
explored. Um, and I think even Alpha Flight to a point hasn't
Oh
been talked
yes.
about, even though because they are Canadian, and I really over the years I've overlooked them, but just recently I've been rereading them, and I really like Alpha Flight, and I've been trying to fill in my runs, and there is such a good story. The like back in the 80s, the stories were so awesome back then. I just can't say enough about Marvel. They've done some really good stories in the past.
Yeah, the Bronze Age was fantastic, huh? Which we were discussing before we went on air, was the fact that we're hearing these rumors of them rebooting all these characters. When Joel and I were discussing that, there's so much stories left to tell with these original guys that they just seem to have given up on, and now they're like trying to find, the next hero when they have them.
Yeah, there's I've heard they're trying to bring back Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. Even though they killed him off in the end game, so I don't know how that will
Mm.
work unless the Thanos snap kind of magically makes him reappear in a multiverse type, or Doctor Strange somehow brings him back in the multiverse. They could do like anything now that they have the multiverse. They could find him on another Earth. Like I don't know. But to bring them back now to bring them back now, I think it's a little late. But I mean, these are the characters people cared about when they first brought them on, and I watched like the one movie I did not like was the last Thor, Thor 4,
Oh yeah.
where he teamed up with the Guardians of the Galaxies. That
Mhm.
to me that was a thumbs down. I watched it on Disney Plus. I did not like it, I'm afraid. Sorry, Marvel, but it's
Yeah,
just not.
Joel, I was saying the same thing, and I grew up. I'm a little older than you, and I grew up around that whole Guns N' Roses music area, and all
Yeah.
those songs that he picked to put in there were so overplayed that I don't even. If I'm in a car and I hear "Sweet Child of Mine," I turn it off just because I heard it so many times. And he just, oh yeah, David Day is agreeing with both of us here again. We talked about this last time.
Yeah.
We're just like, yeah. So, but we do have something left here. We have the X Men. We have not seen the X Men done through Disney yet.
No, we haven't.
What storyline would you like to see them do? Because the
I
Phoenix one's been
I
done to death, right? Like
it
that's one
has.
of yeah. So what
I
would you like to
really
see?
hope they bring this X-Men from the
Oh, that's the poster
1990s
I
series.
used. I have a poster of that, Joel. I used that for
Yeah,
our
I
poem.
saw that, so that's why I thought I'd bring this one out. Whereas the X Men team just versus Magneto and the Acolytes, I think I pronounced that right.
You
And
did. Great team.
I read this years ago when I first got it when I was in high school, but I forgot how good these stories are from back in the 90s. I know a lot of people kind of dismiss them, but this run is such an excellent run, and I try and pick up all of these ones from the original run whenever I can because I just think they're so good stories. Like I even have number 4 here, the first
Ooh,
appearance of
Omega Red.
Omega Red. He's another underrated character that I know that he was talked about bringing back. They were going to bring him in at one time, and then they ditched that idea. But I think he would have been a good villain for, or even in a Wolverine movie if they would have continued with Hugh Jackman. So that that would have been an awesome underrated villain to have because Omega Red's just as bad as Sabretooth or any of those guys. And
Big
then
time.
and then I think maybe they should have one of these teams as X-Men was just Beast, Storm, and Jean Grey and Cyclops. Like they
Right?
don't have to have all the extra X-Men characters. Like I have been reading the newer run of the X-Men, like the Fall of X. I do not actually like the team. It's an all female X-Men team right now, and I must say I'm not a big fan of it
No.
at the moment. Is I much prefer this style of X-Men team than
Yeah.
what's going on. To me, it's just where they kind of dismantle the X-Men. They're not really a team anymore. Like they've all been captured, and it's just where they made the X-Men non-existent at this point. And it's like, to me, it's not a good story at the moment.
No, I'm totally lost with the whole whatever's going on with the X-Men right now. I had jumped ship a few years ago because I just when they were building this whole storyline when they went to the Isle of Krakoa,
Yeah.
I just started losing it. It was too much. It's like I'm going to focus on buying Daredevil, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and Venom, which is basically what I do, right? If
Yeah,
I'm
and that's
buying
what
new
I'm
comics.
focusing on too, as well.
Yeah, that's those are the kind of ones that right now are piquing my interest. Is there any comic that you don't have that you just is like to me? I got to get Incredible Hulk 181.
Well,
And
that one I gotta get, but I wish I could afford to get like Fantastic Four #1, like that run from right up to even 100. I'm missing quite a few issues from that run. Amazing Spider-Man #1 has always been on my holy grail. Amazing Fantasy 15, where first appearance of where Spider-Man comes in. Like there's so many older ones that I wish I could afford to get, but
yeah,
I'm just an average guy working,
just a dude like me, my friend. That's what I say. I'm just a dude.
just will never those will. So I always get the facsimiles of these ones. Like I got the facsimile
Hmm.
when this one came out. So
Yeah,
it's
I've had that
better
as
than
well. Yep.
nothing.
Is there anything that's feasible? Like, because I would love to get Amazing Fantasy 15 as well. But is there anything feasible that you think that you could like? I could see myself getting Incredible Hulk 181 sometime because it is, maybe for whatever. But is there anything that you think is within your reach that you've been looking for?
Well, I mean, I could get like some hope maybe some lower grades of Fantastic Four,
Oh, okay.
like in the early 70s. Like but because I do have Fantastic Four 77 in my collection. It's a really low grade, but I only paid like $15 for it because of the low grade. So I could afford like some of those lower grade grails
Hmm.
eventually. Maybe Fantastic Four #50 at some point in my life. If it's a lower grade I could get, or even Fantastic Four 48. That's another one I've always wanted. The first
What's in
appearance
that one?
of Galactus. So
Yeah.
that would be a good one to have as well, I think.
Mhm.
So there's so many on my wish list, but unless it's lower grade, I'll probably never be able to afford them. So
Right.
time will tell.
Yeah, you'll never know, buddy. You never know. You never. So okay. So, um, Fantastic Four is one more I want to talk about before we go here. They haven't done well. They've done movies, but I don't know if they've been really good. The way the Galactus was brought in as a cloud or gas was mind-blowingly bad. But what storyline would you like to see brought into the Fantastic Four movie world?
I would like to see them actually where they're just going after some major bad, maybe another Doctor Doom story, or going after this guy here, Ramatuk.
Oh, that would be a good one. There's another unknown character that
Yeah,
lesser known that should be.
he's an underrated character. This is the first appearance of him. It's a low grade
Wow,
Fantastic
that's
Four
nice.
#19, but I did manage to snag it. So I think this would be a really good storyline for Fantastic Four, or even the trial of Reed Richards, where he's put on trial from the Skrulls, and they should bring in the Watcher to help the Fantastic Four. Like the Watcher could even direct the Fantastic Four to um go on missions or something, because he's like overseeing the universe, so he kind of knows what's going on everywhere, and he could direct them on a big bad guy coming in, or even fighting the Silver Surfer. There's another underrated character that hasn't been talked about much. So there's so many different characters and stories that from Fantastic Four they could do that. I mean, maybe not many non-comic but people, I should say, would know who they are. But for us comic book fans, it would be excellent storylines to showcase in the movies, especially with the advancements of CGC and 3D. They can definitely show some good um, some good 3D motions from the Fantastic Four being in space and all of
Yeah.
that. So
I was surprised they brought in the Taskmaster of all the foes they could bring into a storyline. Excuse me, and then to have it's so different from the comic book version that was like, okay, if you're gonna bring the Taskmaster, this better be a good story because he's not that deep of a character. And
no,
then they
because
bring in
he
the
was originally Spider-Man's.
yeah,
And
right. It just didn't make sense when he was in there. It's like all these yeah.
no,
So those are kind of the decisions that Marvel's been making. And then it's funny too because I've been programmed now because it's like I love Marvel. I've dedicated all my life since I was 4 years old to buying and reading Marvel, and I'm getting programmed that there must not be it must not be all one gender. It must not be all one kind of person. And now all the movies, now the new Marvel movie is all females. So the
I
back of my mind is saying, okay, wait a minute. As a male, should I be upset about this? Because I'm not really. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. But now my mind is being programmed by the public that okay, wait a minute, it's all women. As a man, I should be angry about this. But my whole thing, if it's a good story and a good movie, it's a good movie. But I find they're really getting away from that, Joel, to just appease everyone. Instead of having one good writer come in and direct it like Stanley Kubrick used to do,
yeah,
they're spreading it around too many people and trying to appease everybody, and that's never going to win. You know what
and
I
I
mean?
yes, and I think that's what's happening in TV shows. They originally focus on one person, and then eventually they bring in other characters, and then they lose focus on the main character, n- which is not the best because there's just too many things happening going on at
It's
once,
too
and
convoluted, right? There's
yeah,
too like instead of focusing on a great character, it's like,
they're
well,
focusing,
we got to make this crowd happy, so we're going to throw in this extra character, and it's
yeah.
like, but you're taking away from like the beauty of this one. I thought Daredevil was done really well, and
It
hopefully
was,
they
yeah. I really like the old from way back in 2015. My
yes
favorite was
yes
Jessica Jones. I'm a
oh that
huge
was good too.
Jessica Jones, the
Right,
crime murder, where she's just a great,
great
funny
female character. You know what
character.
I mean? Like very
Yeah,
strong, very smart. Doesn't take
smart,
any crap from
and
anyone.
she
She's yeah.
has
Hmm.
she has normal issues like everybody else, and it's a really good fast-paced show I thought. But on the flip side, when I watched Luke Cage, I did not like it, but to me it was too slower. um there wasn't a lot of action. There was a lot of talking in there,
I
where
found the same
Jessica,
with Iron Fist. It's too bad that Power Man and Iron Fist were so bad because I love the old 80s comic books, the Power Man and Iron Fist comic books. I thought they were great.
yeah, and I really loved Iron Fist just because he was a lighthearted character, very funny,
Mhm.
uh, great action in there, and to me it was just as good as Jessica Jones. I mean, not everybody's going to agree with me, but I really those were my two favorite, Jessica Jones and Iron Fist, and then I really enjoyed the first season of Defenders too, where they all came together.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they're missing the boat on all that darker, the level one, the tier one Marvel characters, right? Who don't
yeah,
fight Galactus, who don't fight like Kang. They fight the street level ones, which is really cool. And they're totally missing the boat on that. But I think the reason is Joel because it's so edgy. Oh, we're gonna offend people, or if we can't do it like violent, then it's not going to be the right character, which is true. So do it justice. Remember the Daredevil scene where it was just
oh
one
yeah.
take and it was like the hallway. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, I love those hallway fights. They're like so great. Like
Are.
Daredevil, they really did a good job where the one guy tries to sneak up and Daredevil just gave him a quick elbow, thinking he wasn't going to see him. And it was such a. I have to go back and rewatch those shows. They were so great at the
Really
time,
good, buddy.
and
Good
I
actors,
really
good
enjoyed it.
stories.
Yeah, and then when Daredevil became the kind of the leader of the Defenders, and
Mhm.
they were sitting in the restaurant, and Jessica says she was sassy, the sassy one, which she was, and
Yep.
I liked all her personality. I think she would be really good in the movie if they just did a standalone movie, just
Yeah.
just with that character alone. She's another underrated character. Like all three of them should technically be brought into the MCU now, and I think it's time for them to kind
Yeah,
of
I do too.
take the spotlight and have a Defenders movie, maybe.
Mhm. I think it would
That's
be
just
great.
my own personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like my two favorite characters on both. Well, it's funny because I like Daredevil, and then I like Magneto, and they're like Magneto. You could argue villain or hero, but I love Magneto's origins. It's still one of the best scenes in comic book history in movies. In my opinion, is that opening scene in X-Men 1. Like, oh my gosh, that's just like showing Magneto when he was a little kid getting taken away from his parents. That's just crazy good.
Yeah, the
So
like where they were in the internment camp, and he was just discovering his mutant powers of the main power, and he was ripping the cage off. Yeah, like for back then in the early 2000s, that was just super cool back then. And
brilliant, man.
yeah, and speaking of that, I do actually
Mm.
have the comic book adaptation of the
Oh
first movie
wow,
here. I ended
amazing.
up getting this one in a collection as well.
Very
So,
cool, Joel.
so I am a huge X-Men fan. I've
Yeah.
always
I love
loved.
the classic stuff of X-Men for
Yeah.
sure. All
So
right, Joel. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up with you here, my friend?
I just want to say thank you for having me. And I'm such a huge comic collector, and I enjoy talking comics with everybody and out there. I'm doing lots of social media stuff as well. So just
Where
to
can where
showcase
can we
my.
find you? Where can we find you online, Joel?
Oh, you can find me at Joe's Comics Corner on YouTube, Instagram,
There
formerly
it is.
Twitter, now X. I post comics daily there, so just find me on all social media, and even on I got a Facebook page now too. So
Good.
I've tried to do all social media platforms.
Excellent, buddy. Well, that's great. Well, you caught my attention. Thanks very much for coming on the show. I'm
Thank
sure we'll
you
have
for
you
having
back.
me.
Oh, no problem, buddy. I'm sure we'll have you back sometime. And
I much appreciated.
yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening, Joel. And we'll talk
You
to you
too.
soon, my
Have a
friend.
good day as well. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
See you later.
Take care, pal. All right. What a great guest. That was fun. So as you know, I like to do trilogy. So this is the third comic book installment show that we put on. And now it's good to have somebody on there who really knows their stuff. I could talk forever to people who know their comic book stuff, even just listening to them talk forever about their comic book stuff. I really enjoy that. So make sure you check out Joel on all the different platforms on there, and you favorite him and you like his stuff, and keep the comic book support going online, because that's what we need. I love the opinions of. See, the thing is that there's a lot of fans of comic book movies now who didn't get the opportunity to experience where they actually came from, to read these stories, to read like, oh my gosh, the Phoenix just got killed here. This is so sad. And you actually thought she died, right? So you need to, if you were part of it, you would understand a little more about what folks like Joel, David Day, myself say about comic books. And hopefully you research it a little bit more and you check into the past. What I was going to mention here, if you are a new comic book fan, and you were more of an adult, let's be more for adults. Hush, because you can get this all in one set here. I don't know. I thought somebody gave this to me. I think actually, but anyway, this is brilliant. This is so good. The art in this is amazing. Jim Lee, who was Joel and I were discussing some X-Men there, and we were sharing the Magneto picture, issue 2 there, and the same guy, Jim Lee, started at Marvel, and now he's running DC, I believe. But anyway, this is brilliant. Like some of the artwork in this is just, this is some of the best Batman artwork I've seen. Some of it, like, see, I love the darker, look at that Killer Croc shot there. I love the darker artwork and stuff, and it just seems to gradually get darker as we go along. There's a great shot of the Batcave that I can't quite find, but the story in this is great. You think you know who the villain is, and then it's like, whoa, no, I don't. Then you think you do, and you don't, you don't, you do, you don't. Great series. So if you're an adult and you're looking at getting into comic books, pick up Hush. Brilliantly done. The animated version of Hush was horrible, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, wow, I did not like it. Now, this is a different printing of a Spider-Man comic book. So this is the original series of this is back when I was first collecting comics. Man, yeah, I'm old. I'm 50, so my parents or my dad was bringing me home copies of this, but it wasn't Marvel Tales. It was Amazing Spider-Man. So if what the original clone series or story, the very first one, was back with Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and had the Jackal and the Tarantula. I always loved Tarantula. I thought he was great. But this is quite the mind bender. And originally, this was back in the 70s, this story. So if you can get a hold of the original Clone Saga, Amazing Spider-Man. If you can get the original comic books, good for you. Go for it. That's great too. But you get like a trade paperback of that. I would highly recommend jumping in on that. And what else was I enjoying that I thought maybe you guys would like? Oh yeah, Skeletron. We'll talk about that later. So another thing that okay, so and being a kid from the '80s and everything, and being a heavy metal kid, I caught, and this I've seen this before. And when I was growing up, I remember this the legend of this Acid King, which was this kid, Ricky Casso, and it was in the States. Whereabouts was this? It was a small town in the States. And there was so it's 1985, 1984. So it's right when heavy metal was coming into play, right? So we've got this guy named Ricky Casso, and he got kicked out of his house when he was really, really young. He was kind of a rough dude, listened to heavy metal music. He sold drugs. He ended up killing one of his friends. And the media blamed it all on heavy metal music and on this satanic cult that wasn't existing really in this town. It was the drugs, and it was these kids' lives that made this happen. So the Acid King, if you are into documentaries on, stuff from the '80s, a little bit of violence thrown in there, that you're gonna dig that. That's one of my recommendations. Definitely. Okay. Right on. Getting ready to go out for dinner with the folks who I always have dinner with on the weekends, which I couldn't get it with them Sunday, so it's good. So let's pimp some stuff, Lonnie. What do we say? Let's pimp some stuff. Here we go. Skeletron number 4 is now available. $8. The thing is, you can get, if you're inside of Canada, you can get 3 Skeletron books and shipping included for $32. So 8 times 3 is what, Lonnie? 24? Yeah, so $7 shipping. That's not on 3 books. So that's what we're looking at here. So if you get 3 books and issue 2, there's only 3 copies of issue 2 left. I don't even know if we have them online, but I got to pop them on there because I found 2 more, or 3 more issues of number 2. 3 more copies of issue 2, which we'll have to go into reprint on. Issue 1 is available. We're reprinting that one. So issue 2 is going to reprint soon. Issue number 4 is available. This is the first one that we did the shading on the computer with. Again, Skeletron is in battle with a famous old wrestler. Else, the top there, and the wrestler has taken over the penitentiary in Kingston. On the back here, we've got a preview of some Oracle cards that we're going to be having available in the near future. There is the Goddess of Nature. She feeds, she takes away silently. I don't know. We're going to have a writer to get some stuff written for that. So there's issue 4. So that's available now. One of our big, look at that. We're selling these, my friends. People want to join the Cult of Machete. I don't blame you. If you follow anything we do, I believe in helping people out, man. In the facade of evilness and darkness. Yeah, I care. I really care. I really do. So the Cult of Machete shirt there, it's been a big hit. We've been selling a lot of those, the 3/4 length sleeve ones. Those go through an online store. Oh, the mug too. There's another big seller is our mug. These go through the online store. We don't physically have these at our studio here, which I wish we did, because I'd be using them all the time. We wouldn't be selling them. I'd be using them. The mug is $26 for a mug, huh? Huh. Sorry. Again, that's through a store. What else we got, Lonnie? Well, it's just kind of sorry. It struck me $26 for a mug. I'm sorry. Is that? I'm hampering my own product here. Sorry, Lonnie. My producer's gonna throw a shoe at me. Do you have any shoes on? No. Good thing, or else I'll be getting a shoe at my head. So I hope everybody likes what we got going on behind me here. This is the coloring office that I'm in right now. So this is my wife's office. This is where she sits usually. So you can see these are all her toys behind her. I gave her that Kiss poster. That's from a great album. But yeah, she's into Harry Potter, as you can tell. Now check this out. I gave her this Harry Potter Lego kit, and she hasn't opened it or put it together yet. It's still in the box. Unopened Harry Potter Lego in the box. What is up with that? And that's actually my Simpsons thing there too, Lonnie. Come on. You're taking some liberties. That's my guy. I can't point here. Pardon me?
I bought it for you, so technically.
Oh, you bought it for me, so technically it's yours. Okay. Okay. There you go. So coming up with Machete Comics. Wow. Okay. We are already working on issue 5. It's in the system here. Lonnie's been coloring it. I'm finishing off issue 7 in the Next Room Inks. We have a new title coming out. It's a younger Skeletron for our younger viewers, because I find that when I do any kind of teaching or any kind of workshops or any kind of appearance, it's a lot of kids that gravitate towards me. So I need something towards them, because Skeletron's a little above Little Evil. I don't want to freak anybody out, especially if they're 8 years old. So we have a kid's version of Skeletron coming out, huh? Woo! I guess it's Scotty Young inspired, I guess, because he's one of the only ones that I really know that American artists that draw that way. A little bit of manga inspired. But yeah, so that's coming out new. I don't know what we're going to call that. I'm throwing that over to Lonnie. My wife's going to headline that project, because I'm working on the Skeletron book, and I'm also working on the Oracle cards. I got to go back and see how many I got, if I have enough yet. And we are looking for, well, I believe we have a writer. I'm pretty sure we have a writer for that. Yeah, let's just say we do. So the Oracle cards are coming out next. Lonnie, what else do we have?
In the works.
Yeah, I have my workshops coming out here in Kingston. I think that's it, though. So if you want to buy Skeletron number 4, it's available. You get 3 comic books within Canada shipped to you for $32. Issue number 2 is down to 3 copies left. Only 3, man. And then we got to reprint it, which is cool. I'm working on some covers in the other room there. Whenever I get bored, or if I'm just brain dead on what I'm working on, I'll just work on a cover or a picture of Spider-Man. Depends on what my mood is. Anyway, my friends and true believers, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I was curious about your opinions on the rebooting of the Marvel Universe, which I feel, as I was discussing with Joel, is not the right way to go. When you have these characters I think they shot themselves in the foot by trying to kill off Iron Man and having Cap just stay in the past kind of thing. Because there's so many more stories that they could have ridden forward with, especially with the Hulk too, man. We didn't even discuss like what the Hulk could have been doing. Holy smokes. Wow. The UFOs trying to be like the Fantastic Four. And then you could have that whole Fantastic Four UFOs thing, Hopefully we'll bring Galactus in. What a great villain that would be. And again, that's somebody that like Spider-Man would be kind of useless against. But again, we thought that with Thanos as well. A smart person can find use for Spider-Man, right? Right. So the other ones that I was thinking, as I mentioned too, is Daredevil. We got to get Daredevil back on TV. It was such a great, gritty series and stayed so true to the comic book without following it word for word. The movie tried to do something similar to that, and then somebody went in there and ruined it with Ben Affleck. Too much to go into on that front. But the TV show, wow, it was so good. And some of my favorite actors were in that, which blew my mind. It totally blew my mind. Kingpin, man. Wow, Kingpin was so well played. I'd love to see Bullseye in there, them finish the story. That was the sad thing, is they left Bullseye cliffhanging when they're kind of, we're not going to do it anymore. When Disney and Marvel were panicking over there. So I really hope we see a proper Daredevil series continue. See, that's what they could have did with all these other, with Captain America. There was no reason to end it. You could do it in trilogy. So have another 3 Captain America movies with the same guy, or have another 3 movies with Iron Man. You can make some of those better. You definitely make some of those better. I was always thinking, okay, well, you're making room for the Fantastic Four. You're making room for the X-Men. But I'm not really seeing any or hearing anything about that. And you definitely would, because they can't keep secrets around here anymore with the mighty internet. One other thing that I'm looking forward to is the new Deadpool movie with Wolverine in there, Hugh Jackman. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, if you're noticing Brent isn't here, he's out on the road. He is in, I don't know where he is. That's a good question. Where's Brent? Throw your suggestions down below, because I think he might just had a match last night or over the weekend and he lost. So maybe he's sulking somewhere and hiding, right, Lonnie? We don't know. Poor Brent. Brent got beat up, but he got beat up by the champion, so that's okay. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, my friends. You go to machetecomics.ca if you want to purchase any of our stuff. If you want to see any of our old videos, YouTube, everywhere, all over the place. I just appreciate you guys tuning in. I love talking about my comic books. Thanks to Joel from Joel's Comic Corner for appearing on our show. Thanks to the Crier Media for having me on here, not censoring me. Not that I do anything too rampant, right? Pretty tame. I'm a nice guy. It's a nicer place. What's the matter for you? Saw that on TV last night. Had to throw it up there. Okay, The Acid King documentary on a satanic, murdering teenager from the 80s, influenced by heavy metal music and cults. Kinda. What a great documentary. Check that out. And as I keep preaching to my friends here, preach on, my friends. Take care of your inner circle. Take care of your friends. I saw Joel online. I liked his stuff, his content. I thought I'd throw a helping hand out to Joel. So everybody go check out Joel's stuff. He knows this. He knows what he's talking about, or I wouldn't have him on here, right? Excellent. Take care of your inner circle. Take care of your friends. Don't be a douchebag. Peace and love, my friends. Party on. Be excellent to each other. Do it, Lonnie. Do it.